Let me start with you, Rick Tyler. You used to get paid to spin for Ted Cruz. There's obviously been an interesting Cruz-Carly Fiorina connection, at least on the super PAC front. I have to say, I'm suddenly more intrigued than ever by that news from, I think it was 6 months ago, when one of the Cruz super PACs gave $500,000 to a Carly Fiorina super PAC in order to prop up her candidacy. How tight is Cruz and Fiorina? Is it even tighter than we might imagine?
You know, and to this day, I'm not really clear what the super PAC. It was probably about a donor. I was at a few events with Carly Fiorina and Ted Cruz, and I got the sense they really didn't know each other that well. They were very cordial to each other, very nice. So I don't think there's a long history. I think they've both known of each other. But as of late, it looks like they've been getting along quite well. Is
it fair to call this a Hail Mary?
Look, a lot is going to be made about, you know, he is eliminated mathematically right from the convention, right? So you could do nothing, and that would be dumb, or you could do something, and this is smart. So I think this is smart, and so far it's been successful. She has come out. They've done a very effective rollout. They kept it pretty embargoed. They even had signs, and it still hadn't leaked out. And she gave a very aspirational speech. I think she's a good compliment to Senator Cruz, and she's a good juxtaposition with Donald Trump. She gave an aspirational speech. She's got a business sense. She is actually schooled on foreign policy. We saw today that Donald Trump, not so much.
Well, it is. And one thing you got to remember, she became a very good, after I think a rough start as a candidate, she got better and better, probably more so than anybody else on the campaign trail from start to finish going on there. Ben Ginsberg, what do you make of this? Do you view it as a Hail Mary? Do you view it as a good idea, bad idea? Where are you?
Well, it's a Hail Mary, and I'm not sure where the positive is. She doesn't appear to have any natural strength in Indiana. A candidate wants his or her vice presidential pick to be somebody people can see in the Oval Office. The Republican primary voters greeted Carly Fiorina in the Oval Office with a very large yawn during the primaries, and the voters in California handed her a 9.5 point defeat. So it's not immediately clear why this is so good, other than the changing the conversation. But you should give him credit for coordinating Ted Cruz's tie with Carly Fiorina's dress.
Fair enough. All right, we'll go there. Let me bring in Craig Shirley. Craig, you've written extensively about the '76 Reagan campaign. We know what Reagan's motivation was, but it didn't work. Do you think it didn't work in '76 because voters didn't like the presumptiveness? I've always been curious. Why do you think it didn't work, and what lesson here could Cruz take away from this?
Actually, Chuck, it worked and it didn't work. John Sears, who was Reagan's campaign manager, found out that CBS News, which had an enormous political unit at the time, was doing an assiduous count-by-count of every delegate and alternate in America, every Republican delegate in America, to find out where they stood. And this was 3 weeks before the convention. Now, Sears believed that Reagan was competitive, but that CBS might come up with a tally that would say that Ford either had enough or leaning delegates for a first ballot nomination. And at the time, CBS had a 55 share, which meant that more than half of the country watched Walter Cronkite. If he went on national television and announced that Ford had enough delegates for a first ballot nomination, Reagan's campaign would be over. The way to do it was to change the storyline, and the way to do it was to pick Senator Richard Schweiker, and it worked brilliantly because CBS killed the story. So it kept Reagan's campaign alive while it got them to Kansas City to try to work on, you know, unwavering delegates or uncommitted delegates from Pennsylvania and other states.
That's fascinating. Let me ask you this, Craig, though. When, you know, it didn't bring, so it changed the narrative for the moment, but it didn't bring delegates, and it didn't, you know, why did it just not work? Because it's a sitting president, and Gerald Ford was able to promise the moon, take them, you know, we've already read about all the different anecdotes we've heard, you know, 4th of July at the White House to watch the bicentennial fireworks, things like that. Is that why it didn't work?
That was in part. Ford had the majesty. Jim Baker was Ford's very able and very capable delegate hunter, and he used everything he could within his power to get the uncommitted and wavering delegates to support Gerald Ford. Reagan was very, very popular, but he was simply a former governor. He had assets too, like Jimmy Stewart and John Wayne and things like that. But in the end, Reagan was always behind, and that's what people need to understand, is that Ford was the incumbent president, unelected, but still the the incumbent. He had everything. He had the state parties. He had the national committee. He had all the resources of the national party behind him, plus the White House, plus his own election committee, the President Ford Committee. So it was always an uphill struggle for Ronald Reagan, and that he came so close and took it all the way to the convention is itself a small miracle.
Right, and set him up, obviously, for 1980. And perhaps that's what Ted Cruz is thinking, which is fight, 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 and get into the best position he can for 2020. But Rick Tyler, in the last 72 hours, there has been a throw spaghetti at the wall mindset of the Cruz campaign. So on Sunday, after weeks of begging by the Kasich campaign to work together, the Cruz campaign finally agrees to it, simply to get Kasich out of Indiana. And the whole thing seems to come apart the minute it starts. Now we have this running mate deal, which now seems to throw the Kasich alliance out the window as well. What do you make of all this?
Lack of communication on what this was not an alliance. This was a tentative détente, and it was designed to keep Kasich out of Indiana, and it's worked. Kasich's not going to spend money in Indiana. He's not going to appear in Indiana. That allows Cruz a free shot at Indiana to get potentially all 57 delegates in Indiana. So I think it was a lot made of, they were somehow working together. But no, it was really an allocation of resources. I have limited resources. You have limited resources. Where can you stop Trump? Where can I stop Trump? And I think that's what they did. And I don't think it went beyond that. It clearly didn't.
Yeah, no. And Ben, I am also curious. Hasn't Cruz set himself up now that if he loses Indiana by a point, that's it. It's over. It is, because he is now throwing everything against the wall here. Got rid of Kasich, named a running mate, did it in Indianapolis, treating Indiana as if it's going to be his, the state that relaunches his candidacy. And if it's not, how does he go on?
I think he's got a real problem. I mean, he may win the next week in Nebraska, but he has staked it all in Indiana. It's a state where he needs to win statewide. And if not, he's got a real problem. So the question is, what does Carly Fiorina bring particularly in Indiana? Because that's got to be his focus and his main job now. And if it's a California play, as the last state, she's lost there. So that doesn't make a lot of sense.
Hey, I'm just curious, very fast, Ben, what's the financial implication when you have a ticket? Is there anything new that they changed, or is she just essentially a surrogate for now?
Well, if she has money left in her account, there is a way to set up an account for a vice presidential candidate. But you also saw her campaign using the super PAC to an unprecedented extent for core campaign functions.
Borderline legally questionable. I mean, if anybody wanted to challenge it.
Yes.
And you, as a lawyer, would have a hard time defending what they did?
I would be happy to try and defend it without knowing all the facts yet.
Anyway.